Hello, sweet children of Jesus. I'm going to try this attempt again to try and read you about Curtis, the greedy caterpillar. Goodness knows how many times I tried it, but I had to set my audio set up. Anyway, here's the story about Curtis the caterpillar. Under the moist wood, insect life was numerous and lively. A little girl called Sammy had come down to the water's edge to play, while Curtis the caterpillar was feasting upon the leaves from the flowers. He would just eat and never stop eating, and he had become very plump and lazy. He would move very slowly and sometimes just stay in the same spot without even moving, but just eating all day. Other insects around him just would tease him and tell him that he was ugly, fat, and good for nothing, which just caused him to become very sad and even more, and not even want to do anything, but just eat more and more. One day Curtis made his way very slowly down to the waterside. On the way down he came across a grape that children had dropped from their picnic, and he ate a great big apple, and then he came across a whole batch of salad leaves, which again he ate all by himself. Curtis wanted to carry on in this journey to the stream, but before he could make it down, he had become feeling very sick and decided to take a nap on top of an anthill. Suddenly, hundreds of ants had busted out of the anthill. Suddenly, hundreds of ants started bullying him, and out of the tiny mud hill, they crawled all over him. They picked him up and started crawling, carrying him down to the centre of their nest. Sammy had just been sailing her paper boat along the stream, but decided to walk back through the trees. She spotted Curtis being attacked by the ants and felt compassion for him. So she rescued Curtis and picked him out of the mean ants who were just about to devour him. Sammy then smiled and decided to go back to the stream and to take Curtis back with her. Even though Curtis was ugly and fat, it didn't matter to Sammy, who just took an interest in him because she took a shine to him. Sammy, smiling and laughing, put Curtis back in the paper boat, innocently not realising that this would make Curtis feel more sick. Suddenly, Sammy lost sight of her paper boat, and it had started to flow fast down the stream. Sammy ran after her boat, and Curtis very fast, but on the way she tripped up by a tree root, and catching her foot along the muddy path. Sammy had fainted for a few minutes, but was woken up by a leprechaun. Smiling at her and throwing gold and rainbow dust on her, Sammy asked, "Who are you?" The leprechaun replied, "I am Abednego, the leprechaun." "Me? And my brother saw what kind act you had done for Curtis the caterpillar. So we decided to watch over you and protect you and wake you up." Sammy replied, "Where is my caterpillar?" Abednego requested, "Come, let me show you something." He took her to a waterfall, rushing down, and led her to a door behind it. Creaking the door. When they went through the door, a whole cave shone brightly full of crystals and crystal sparkling dust. She looked down at Curtis as Abednego handed Curtis over to her and said, "Don't tell anyone about this." Then at the twinkling of an eye, Sammy found herself. She found herself back on the bank and carrying Curtis in a small plastic container. He was scoffing every leaf in it again. Sammy, confused, whispered to herself, "That was weird. Maybe I just had a strange and vivid dream." She took Curtis back home with her and put him in her parents' back garden, where he just never stopped eating. He was very greedy and never left any food for anyone else but Sammy. But Sammy still continued to care for him despite of that. Ladybirds and other caterpillars was getting hungry because Curtis left nothing for them. The slug and snails were also angry with Curtis for eating all their food. One day Curtis had become so full and fat that he just stopped moving. During that time, other caterpillars, slugs and snails teased him badly. At night time he was easy prey, but Sammy had always picked him up and put him in an aquarium on the top of the shelf in the garden, on his own and lawless alone but in safety. The moon would shine its brilliant light, which felt very peaceful and warm, but gave Curtis time to really think about the way he had been. He was beginning to understand how selfish and greedy he had been, but how lucky he was to have Sammy as his friend, who had rescued him each and every time from his predators. Day by day, Curtis got bigger and bigger, and had changed his attitude. However, one day he was too big to fit inside the aquarium that Sammy brought for him anymore. He decided to crawl back into the woods nearby, so to hide his size. When Curtis disappeared, Sammy cried and wanted to find him, but she could not find him anywhere. Meanwhile, in the woods, Curtis had found himself a branch that he decided to hang on and become a giant chrysalis, but nobody could ever find the chrysalis because Abednego waved his wand, which turned Curtis invisible. Curtis wanted it that way because he did not want to be seen as to scare children from his massive size. Every day children walked through the woods and could hear some boom noises like drums banging. They were coming from Curtis. However, the drumming sound was very pleasant and inviting, and children loved to dance and sing along with it. And Abednego also would be very excited and loved to sing along with it. But then, suddenly, one morning, as the sun shone brightly through the trees, children discovered the huge empty cocoon. They called the parents, who called the authorities, who took the cocoon in for science research. They had never seen anything of the like in all the entire histories of records. It was so massive and glowed when they put it in the dark. Curtis had emerged from his cocoon and now was hiding from it in the very deepest parts of the forest, where nobody would ever find him. He would fly happily along the sparkling springs of the valleys below in the deep dark forest. His wingspan was a whopping 12 feet from all sides, with a beautiful glittering colours within his wings. He has also been given a new name, Barabbas. Another morning, the police were out in search to try to find this mystical creature. Sammy, who was hiding behind the tree, witnessed it all. Then from behind her came her bullies, all boys teasing her. The police are going to capture your friend Curtis and put him on display in a huge glass enclosure. Sammy cried her eyes out, running away from the nasty boys. They came after her with sticks, but the police and the police dogs noticed the bullies and went over to break the bully gang up and to make sure that they left Sammy alone. The dogs barked at the boys and they all had run off, but one of the dogs kept barking at Sammy. The policeman tried to calm his dog, but he kept barking. Sammy was on the edge of a huge waterfall, where she lost her balance and just fell over its cliffside, falling to the rocks below. Sammy was heading fast towards the bottom, when suddenly out of nowhere Barabbas flew under her, picking her up in his huge wings. He took her safely up to the top again. The police were awestruck. They had never seen such a creature before. They were even more awestruck as Abednego appeared, saying, "This is Curtis, my dear, your caterpillar. He will never stop eating." So I took him into the cave and gave him crystal dust, so that together what he had would make him grow so big. He had never forgotten the time when you kindly rescued him from the attack of the ants, and revealed to him that one day and I revealed to him that one day you would need him to save your life. Everyone, even Sammy's bullies, were all taken by surprise. News reporters turned up to capture Barabbas the butterfly on film. Sammy saved his life as a young caterpillar, and now Barabbas had put his freedom on the line to save Sammy. Sammy was confused as to how Barabbas knew that she was going to fall, and how he got there so quickly. It remained a mystery all her life, but she always believed that Abednego helped him to get to her fast. The authorities allowed Barabbas to fly free, and not keep him in a glass enclosure or use him in a science lab to do tests on him. So every day children came to Barabbas. As for Sammy, she enjoyed being with her best friend and flying over the streams together. Yes, he had been greedy little caterpillar, but even in his downfall, the leprechaun used it and turned it for his good, and he became the most beautiful and kind butterfly in the whole world after that. Sammy never stopped her adventures with Barabbas. Even when she grew up and became a mum, she brought her own children to see him, and she even got to an old lady taking her grandchildren to visit Barabbas. But Barabbas remained alive long after Sammy was gone. Abednego granted him a blessing of living for 1,000 years, and since Sammy, many of her descendants have come and gone, but still staying faithful to Barabbas' side as faithful friends to the end. My thoughts on the story is that we all have a God-given purpose. When we have a true friend, we are a true friend to them. We love no matter what they look like and despite their bad habits, and we always look out for them and have their back. Jesus is our truest friend and best friend who loves us unconditionally. We help our friends in their disadvantages as they help us in ours. True friends bring out the best in us and love us even at our worst. Romans 8:28, and we know everything works together for good to them that love God, to those who are according to his purpose. And that's the end. God bless you for now. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.